Hello, I'm Max Johnson,
And I'm Destin Bursma.
and welcome to It's a Good Movie.
It is not a good movie at all.
And today we're talking about the movie Drive. Let's play a clip.
No, that's a great point I can make right now is that a movie called Drive, and he drives twice.
Is that really
Drive.
the
It came
level
out this year, 2011,
criticism?
by what's his name, Wingding Times New Roman.
I believe it was Gail Garcia Reese Evans Burnell.
Refn is his last name. Stars Ryan
Nicholas Winding Refn.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
It stars Ryan
That's
Gosling.
probably not how you say it.
No, it's Winding. Run like the Winding. It stars Ryan Gosling as the guy, and it stars Carey Mulligan as the woman. And it also stars Albert Brooks as the knife. You think I'm making this up, but he's laughing because it's true.
Wait, is he actually billed as the knife?
I'm Albert Brooks the knife.
He doesn't say that.
Well, my Albert Brooks is a little rusty, and Bryan Cranston is in it, and he plays
the mechanic.
which is also what Ryan Gosling does. See, already we're off to a bad start with this movie, but
Look,
okay, let's actually discuss it.
if the level of criticism that you're going off of is that there's not enough driving in the movie,
Okay.
I'm coming from kind of the opposite perspective because from what I'd heard about this movie, I thought it was going to be long and boring and contemplative and drawn out and nothing but people staring at each other's foreheads.
That's exactly what it fucking was.
But it wasn't, because I thought it was actually a rather taut, tense, hard-boiled crime
okay, let's just
thriller.
start here about the marketing of the film, because
Okay.
you may have heard that, and probably from people who have seen it, not from people who are actually marketing the movie.
No, I heard that it was boring, and it turned out to be exciting.
Yeah,
to
but not
me.
from people who were marketing the movie. They weren't marketing it as it's boring.
You know, I
Drive, it's boring. This September.
drive out to see it.
Then drive out. But this movie was marketed pretty viciously, and Ryan
Yes,
Gosling
like-
was going to all the late talk show circuits, and he was talking about, and Conan O'Brien was saying, "Oh, you're such a badass, and I want that jacket, and it's just such a fun movie, and it's so tense and exciting." And I'm like, "Yeah, Drive." It's a movie called Drive about a driver who's badass and wears a badass jacket, and he doesn't drive.
But Conan...
But that's not the biggest problem, because I am not a stranger to movies that are marketed a certain way and then come off as a different way.
Right, like...
Because that doesn't mean I'm going to dislike the movie. The movie has to be legitimately bad itself for me to dislike it, and that was the case here. Because Drive, the biggest problem with it probably is that there is no main character to speak of at all.
Except for Ryan Gosling.
Who is not a character.
He
is not a character in any sense of a character.
But how is he not a character? If I can
Because
put that on its head.
he is on the screen, and
Yeah.
he stares, and he smirks, and then he starts crushing in skulls. And you haven't got the slightest idea who he is. You haven't got any idea what his motivation is, other than he kind of maybe sort of likes Carey Mulligan.
But see, he's sort of like the man with no name, you know. He kind of wanders.
But Clint Eastwood
he
had
wanders into this town, and he kind of doesn't have a history.
No,
you know?
no, it's not like that at all. He's already living in this town, and he's a mechanic by day,
Yeah, but
and
they
by
talk
night.
about how he came in and he was so great with the cars.
I know they talk about
you
that,
know?
but we've already established him in the town. It's not like he just walked into town and now he's going to get back the water for the town folk.
Yeah, but I mean, he's almost an elemental presence, because it's like all he does is drive, you know.
But he doesn't even drive.
Well, see, he doesn't. He drives until things start to go wrong, and then he's forced to do things
differently. Right,
Yeah.
but we've already established him in the town, and that's fine. He's a mechanic by day, and he does illegal drive jobs by night, and that's fine. The movie has a great opening, a great title sequence. You know, I love the soundtrack, the cinematography, and I don't even think Ryan Gosling does a bad job. I think he even at times tries to convey a little bit of vulnerable, ism.
Yes. Vulnerability, I think.
Vulnerability, thank you. Into the character, because at times he's trying to do this crazy dark thing, but he's shaking or, he's sweating. But other than that, you have no idea who he is. You can't connect to him at all.
Well, I think it's enough that he's kind of the person that we expect to see as this kind of, badass hero, and that's sort of subverted that really he's a little bit scary. I think that's an interesting thing that they're doing.
Well, it's just like, you've got a main character, and the movie plays for maybe, 20, 30 minutes.
Like, to be fair, I was watching pretty much the whole movie through the lens of thinking he had, some kind of mental deficiency.
Well, you don't know what to think, do you? Because the movie starts, and for at least 20 minutes, he says maybe 10 things. But he's already established a relationship with the girl, and he gets on fine with the kid. And it's at the moments where he seems like the most human. And that's really fine, and you're just getting to the point where you're starting to at least sort of care about him, and then he starts doing this insane, dumb shit that seems completely out of character of someone who was just 5 minutes ago cracking wise about Looney Tunes with a little kid.
Like what? Like what was so out of character that...
everything violent he does. You have no idea that he's even capable of that shit.
He's kind of thrust into it.
But he pushes it to a completely different side, like the elevator scene.
Yeah.
Where you think all he has to do is get out with the girl.
Yeah.
And instead he just goes completely overboard.
It's ambiguous, right? You think about that in movies, typically you'll knock the guy down and you'll run away, right? But if you were in a real life situation and you had you'd probably kick a guy while he's down, right?
I wouldn't kick him so far to hear the crunching of his face going into his brain.
But that's...
Which is literally the point of that scene, because they make it pretty damn obvious that's what's happening.
Yeah, and then she bolts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's all great and fine with her, but... It's him as a character,
right?
That I really am struggling with, because he is. I've seen comparisons to Travis Bickle, from Taxi Driver, and that is so wrong. I can't even fathom it.
Well, Travis Bickle
is another
a lot of people.
Sure, he does, and he is depressed and
bathing in blood,
and probably pretty, a little fuzzy up there. But you get into Travis's head. You hear his diary entries. You hear him narrating the whole movie. You hear him talking and why he feels that way and why he's lonely and why it drives him to do the things he does. You have no indications with Ryan Gosling in this movie. He's just stares, smiles,
I don't
kicks in heads.
I don't feel like it needs to be explained.
That's all he does. That's all it does.
I think it's interesting that he doesn't have this filled in.
He doesn't make sense in this movie, though. I mean,
he has one thing that is actually making him feel like a complete person.
That's the only thing motivating him to do the things he's doing, which I get. But the way he does the things, it just doesn't seem like the same sort of person who is for 20 minutes. Maybe he does some illegal shit at night, but he wasn't fucking hammering nails into people's heads.
That was a bullet.
Was it a bullet? Sorry.
It was the bullet that the guy gave to the kid. It was a revenge thing.
Yeah, the concept of which is nice, but still, it doesn't sit well with me.
I don't see it as a contradiction. I see it as us learning about this character, that he has this dark side.